So you are able to see the screen, right?
Yes, sir.
Just 1 second. Yes. So last class, so we have started our reliability itself, so we have discussed all the details like nonlinear transformations, so how to calculate this reliability index, say, okay, so that we have seen. Hold on. No. Okay. Now, yes. Okay, so we have discussed, this, what do you mean by failures? Okay, so we have said this limit state, that is what we call as a failure here. It's a boundary, between the safe and unsafe regions itself. So we have defined, like, in practice, in many of our engineering problems, we'll be having a lot of limit state, ultimate serviceability limit states, cracking, the fatigue and other things also will be there. Okay, so this we have seen in our last class. And finally, say, so reliability is essentially, so we have this limit state functions, resistance and then load, so we have to find out this probability of failure. Okay, so given that my resistance as well as the load are uncertain itself, so we have the probability density functions. So this overlapping regions, so this we call as, the probability of failure itself. Okay, so now, so we have seen, like, you can write r minus q r, so this also, variety of things you can do also here. So now, I think we explained, like, you see how to calculate this probability of failure. So using our, this conditional probability, say. So finally, we wrote this expression also. So this is my probability of failure. So you can do in two ways actually. One is assuming you fix Ri and then you do the this itself R. You fix a Qi and then you can also calculate I. But both of them will give you the same, the answers itself. So then more random variables also we have seen. And finally, say, so if it is a normal distribution, if the two random variables are normal, then, it is very easy. So this is the probability of failure, right, basically. So which is given by this expression itself. And now what we said was this quantity, say, which is inside this, the normal random, this standard normal variate. So this we call as, the reliability index basically. So defined as mean to standard deviation kind of thing. So these are reliability. So the advantage of reliability is if I know the reliability, say, so I can find out my probability of failure basically. Okay. So this is how the reliability index and then the probability of failure for normal distribution. So this table is, the valid for this case. Okay. So this we have seen, and log normal also we can calculate, writing in a slightly different fashion, and then we can convert into this itself. Okay, and multi-random variables also we have seen. Then, if it is a nonlinear transformation, say, you can use a Taylor series expansions, and then, you can do all those calculations. Okay, the first order and other things also. And then we have said, so this model, say, first order, second, movement method, say. So first order means, it stands for the Taylor series, how many terms you have included. The second movement, say, so because for reliability, we are calculating mu by sigma, you are using only the first two movements basically. Okay, so this we call as, the second movement method itself. So this example also we have seen in our last class actual. Okay, so this is what we have done in the previous classes. So now let us extend our discussion some more details. Okay. So now here this reliability index, whatever we have defined, say it has some type of the problems basically. So one problem is essentially this problem, that is the invariance or whatever we can say. Okay, so like a typical if you see one simple issue, say so this the invariance problem basically. Okay, this so this is a very huge problem with this FOSM method. Okay, so this has a problem here. So we will just see one typical example, say. So you can see, you can get different results for this work itself. Okay, so this definition is first order second movement method. So this method, say, it works when the transformations are linear, say the limit state function, if it is a linear, and then all the random variables are normal, say. Okay, so then this first order the second movement method works perfectly fine actually. But when the things are non-linear, say like the limit state function is non-linear, and then your random variables, they are not normals and non-normal random variables, so you will have lot of problems actually calculating by this method, that is beta is followed, right? So this expression will have lot of problems actually. Okay, so let us see one typical the invariance problem also. You can get different values also. So this invariance problem also will come into picture. Okay, see, like for example, if you see a small this one, so if you see a simple steel beam, say, okay, which we solved previously itself. So which has so this is a simple steel beam, so which is simply supported. So we have a concentrated load in the middle. So L is the span of the beam, say. Okay, so this is my simple steel beam. So let us say it's random variables, say. So let us assume that the mean values, all of them are random. So P is the load, L is length, and then Z is a section modulus, and then this is a compressive strength of this yield strength of our steel. So these numbers are at 10 kilonewtons. Then 8 meter is the length of this one. Then 100 into 10 to the power of minus 6 is the section modulus, the mean value of the section modulus. And then F of Y, that the strength also 600 into 10 cubes, say, kilonewton per the meter square. So these are the mean values basically of all these random variables. So P, then L, then section modulus, and then you see F of Y. Okay, now the standard deviations, say. So this also you can write in terms of a correlation matrix, also covariance matrix kind of thing. So four random variables, they may be correlated or they may be uncorrelated also. So let us say we write like this: 4 kilonewton square, 0, then 0, then 0, then we have 0. So 10 into 10 to the power of minus 3 meters square. This is for the length. 0, 0, then 0, 0. 400 into 10 to the power of minus 12 meter to the power of 6. So this is a variance associated with the section modulus. And the last one, say, so we have 10 into 10 to the power of 9 kilonewton per meter square whole square. So these are the variances actually. So now looking at this covariance matrix, what is your comment? What is the comment on the random variables? See, what is your comment on the random variables looking at the covariance matrix?
All are uncorrelated.
They are all
uncorrelated.
They are all uncorrelated basically. Okay, so now so they are all uncorrelated, so there is no correlations itself. So some problems, what they do is instead of giving the standard deviation, say, they will give you the covariance matrix directly. So covariance matrix will tell you whether they are correlated or uncorrelated, but they will be variances. They will not be the standard deviations. You have to take a square root of all of them itself. So now my limit state function, say, okay, so these are the random variables Z, Fy, then load, and then L, say. So I will write this as Fy into Z, the moment capacity, say, and maximum bending moment is PL by 4. So this is my limit state function, the failure the function actual. Now this function, say, I can also write this limit state function as like this also, slightly modified, say, P and then L. If I divide everything by Z, say, so I can also write this as Fy minus PL by 4 times Z actual. So instead of multiplying Z, I divide everything by Z. So I am writing just a different fashion. So Z f of y, then p and then L divided by z actual. So these are the same only, both of them are same. Only thing is I am changing slightly the form of my limit state. So now whether you use this or whether you use this or so what happens, you should be able to get the so whether the limit state depends, or I can write as, you know, instead of writing as r minus q, say if I write as r by q also, say. So whether the results will change on the functional form of limit state in reality. See, in the reality, what happens? The functional form, you know. So in reality, what happens to the functional form if I take this or this one, whether my probability of failure or you know, my reliability index, it will change or it will be same. If I write in terms of r minus q and let us solve the problem, or r by q, that 1 greater than or less than 1 if I do this way, or r minus q greater than 0 less than 0. So now you will get same answer or different answer.
So it should be same answer.
You should get the same answer. So here also let us see whether you write as fy into z minus pl by 4 or fy minus pl by 4z, say you should get the same answer. So let us see whether we will get the same answer or not for this problem. So you know how to calculate all those details. Okay, so the Taylor series or whatever, of course here the function is a linear or non-linear, your limit state function here. So fy is also random, z is also random, p is also random, L is also random. So limit state now are this way, say here also fy is also random, p is random, L is random, z is random. Your limit state function is linear or non-linear?
Non-linear.
So it is non-linear. So if it is non-linear, what you have to do? Now how to solve a non-linear?
So we need to use Taylor series and convert it into linear problem.
So now you have to use a Taylor series. So now let us see for both the functional forms, how it happens. So the first one, say, so G1. So this is a first functional form. So this you expand in terms of Taylor series, say. So you will have mu z, mu of f of y. So you know I will not go into the details. So you can write all the the expressions here by 4. Okay. So include only terms up to first order only. So f of y. And then z minus mu of z plus mu of z, say, multiplied by fy minus mu of f of y, okay, minus mu L by 4, p minus mu p minus mu p by 4, L minus mu L. Okay, so this is a Taylor series expansion, you see, for the first functional form, that is G1 actual. Now here if we substitute all those numbers, say mu z, mu fy, mu p, mu L and all other terms in this expression, you can calculate the reliability index as some 2.48 actual, okay, using the first one, that is fy into z minus pl by 4. Now let us do for this functional form, so fy minus pl by 4z. So this is the G1 whatever G2. So now this if I try to do, say, so mu of f of y minus mu p mu L by 4 times mu z. So you can see now the functional form is slightly different. Fy into z minus pl by 4 was there. Now it is fy minus p into L by 4 mu z. So this you can see the terms how they come like this. And then same Taylor series expansion if you do, say, so mu p mu L by 4 times mu z square z minus mu z, say, plus 1. Okay, so fy minus mu of f times y plus sorry, minus this term will be there, minus mu L by sorry. So the you calculate, so mu L by 4 times mu z p minus mu of p minus mu p, say, by 4 times mu z L minus mu L actual. So this is a Taylor series expansion. So you do the Taylor series expansion and then you have converted everything into linear format. So basically if you see mu p, mu L, 4 mu z square, all of them if you substitute, say, so now it is basically a linear, you understand. So here also you can see everything is now a linear kind of format actual, whether you go that way or this way. So Taylor series advantage is your limit state may be non-linear, but after expanding, including terms up to first order, so you will get a linear, the functional form. So once again, you calculate the reliability index, say. So for this, it turns out to be 3.48 actually. So this is a reliability index for this one. So now what is your comment? With the first one, you got 2.48. For the second one, you got 3.48. So what is the comment here? So now what is your comment? See why we got two different answers actually. The problem is same, but how come we got two different answers? So what is the reason for this, getting two different things? But just slightly we have changed the limit state actually, but we are getting, two different answers. You followed. So what is the reason here?
As the function is non-linear as well as a random, they are random variables.
No, random variables is fine. But previously also they were random only. Because they are random only, we are doing reliability. Okay. But the main problem what here was, whatever reliability index you are calculating, say, so that is valid only for. See what is that we have said? The limit state function has to be
Linear and normal.
And normal random variables only. But right now our random variables are normal only. But the problem is our limit state function is
Non-linear.
So this is the main problem actual. Okay, so this way, that is a definition of a beta, no, like this type of expressions, say. Okay, so these type of expressions, if I use, in my reliability analysis, so the problem is, if the functions are non-linear, you may do all Taylor series and whatever here, you will end up with two different answers. So then you can see a huge, difference. See 2.48 and 3.48. If you see the probabilities, which we wrote, I think last class, so 3.48, somewhere it comes and 3 say. So your probability of failures will be, entirely, you see, you may be underestimating or you may be overestimating. So how do we solve this type of problem? So this is the main, the issue in calculating the reliability that, the FOSM method itself. So for this, so because of this invariance, this, different things problem, so this new things have come into picture. So now to to remove this type of invariances, say, so one new, this index has come, Haushofer, Lin reliability index actually. So this concept came in reliability theory. Okay, it's very simple only. So this Haushofer-Lind reliability index, he says. So what this Haushofer-Lind reliability index, what he says is, so you may have a performance function or whatever. So right now, what this he says is, the main problem, say, why we are getting two different results is when you are expanding your Taylor series, say, we are expand. So Taylor series means you have to expand around some point basically. Okay, so we expand some place and then h into f dash x, like that we do. So right now in our Taylor series expansion, so we are expanding around which points? In the Taylor series expansions which we wrote previously, say, so we are expanding in terms of which points? We are expanding in terms of
about mean.
About the mean value. So this, so he says that, so this is the main, the culprit basically. So now if you expand, if Taylor series are, and finally you are expanding around Taylor series around the mean value, that is perfectly fine. So finally, when you are calculating your reliability index and all other things, you are everywhere, you are calculating around the mean points. So he says this is, you have to do a correction kind of a thing. He says you have to evaluate basically, okay, the limit state function, say, not at the mean value, but at the design points. So this limit state function, say, so you have to evaluate at the design points, he says, okay, not at the mean values. So this is what instead of mean value. So this is what this, the index is. So this you followed, right? So he pointed out basically. So what he says is, now let us say this is my limit state function, say x1, x2, these are all my random variables basically. So now these are the original random variables. Now later I will define a standard normal, this standard form of the variables, say, like, I will normalize everything. So the standard form of the variables, say. So I will define like this. So Zi is xi minus mu of xi say by sigma of xi. Okay, so I'm normalizing its mean and then standard deviation. So instead of writing in terms of x1, I will write in terms of Zi. Okay, by after subtracting the mean and then divide by its own standard deviation. Okay. So now my so this is our this one. So now this Haushofer-Lind reliability index is it is defined as the reliability index. The definition is it is defined as the shortest distance. Okay, the shortest distance is so from the origin. Okay, so from the origin of the reduced space. So the reduced the variable space. Yeah, to the limit state function. Led to the limit state function g is equal to 0. So this is how we define the beta, not as so finally the distance will be like this only. Okay, so finally we can also prove that the beta say so suppose if the limit state function, if it is linear, say for linear case, automatically beta turns out to be so a naught plus is a sigma I is equal to 1 to n. So ai is say mu of xi by the square root will come into picture. So I is equal to 1 to n. So ai into sigma xi whole square. So this is for linear case. So in the linear case, there is no issue. The problem is same as the previous case only. But for non-linear case, it will be slightly bit different actually. So what it says is, so this is my reduced space. Say, so let us say I have only two random variables. Okay, so x1 and x2. So now I normalized them. So I got z1 and z2. So I have subtracted x1 minus mu by its standard deviations, and my performance function is something like this. So this is my performance function. Okay, so which is a non-linear. So this is my performance function say. Okay, so what this Haushofer-Lind this reliability index say, what it says is this is my origin say. Okay, so the shortest distance from the origin. Okay, so this is I will put like, so this is my shortest distance here. So this is my the distance from this point to this point. So this is what we define as the beta, and this point say these are my design points basically. Okay, so z1 star and then z2 star. So these are the design points. They are not the mean values. Okay, they are the design points. So it is essentially you take this point, you draw a tangent say. So it is something you follow, right? So they draw a tangent or something. So this is the shortest distance from the origin to the this performance function. Suppose if it is a linear problem say, so we can just see if it is a linear case, the performance function is linear. If it is a linear case, say, okay, because already we know the answer. If the performance function is linear, so now what happens? So I will have z1, z2. So this is z1 and z2 are here, okay, or zr or zq, whatever you can say. So z1 say is x1 minus mu of x1 by sigma of x1, and z2 say is x2 minus mu of x2 by sigma of x2 actual. Or you can also write my performance function say, if it is like this, it is simply x1 minus x2. Okay, now we write in terms of z1 and z2. Okay, so if we write x1 say, so x1 will be z times sigma x1. Okay, so this becomes z times sigma x1 sigma x1 plus mu of x1, and x2 this is the z2 sigma of x2 plus mu of x2 actual. Okay, so if you substitute in this expressions say, so my z1, if I write the limit state function in terms of z1 and z2, so this turns out to be so mu x1 minus mu of x2 plus, okay, so we have z1 into sigma 1 minus is z2 into sigma x2. Okay, so this is my limit state function. So the limit state function, say how it is. So this is a basically linear function. So if you take this type of a graph, if you try to draw, say z1 and z2 basically. So if I substitute z1 and z2 are there. Okay, so these are the two variables. It is a linear function itself. So now if we see here, so what happens here is, so we'll have, this is my performance function here. Okay, so this is my limit state function. So which is like this. So now this value, say, so this what is this value or this value? So what are these values basically? This value and this value, if you see here. So now what will be this value? So at this intercept, say z1 is basically 0 itself. So if you substitute z1 is 0, say, and this is my limit state, this point, what is the g value? So this is my line, the performance, the limit state function, whatever. So on this line, say what is the value of zg, z1 comma z2? So what is the performance function here? So what is the value of g on this line? So what is the value of this on this line? See, previously we have said, right, if it is above this line, what happens, or below this line, what happens? See, g greater than 0, less than 0, say what is the meaning of g greater than 0? See, the limit state function, say previously we have defined, right, what is g greater than 0, g less than 0? So if I define my g like this, say, okay, so what is g greater than 0 or g less than 0? So you can see here, this is the load which is coming on my beam, say. So this is my resistance basically. Okay, so what is r minus q? So what is r minus q greater than 0 means? R minus q greater than 0
is
means
safe.
it is safe. So now, so in the purpose, so the limit state, say, so greater than 0 safe, less than 0 it is unsafe kind of thing. But on that exact boundary, say what is the value on the exact boundary? See, on this boundary, say what is the value of g? It is exactly
So
Zero.
equal to 0.
Equal to 0 basically, because above, below. So this point you can easily find out. Okay, so this expression, say, so you substitute z1 is equal to this expression 0 and g is also 0. You can find out z2. So what's the value of z2? It will be simply mu2 minus you see this mu2 minus mu1 or mu1 minus sorry, this expression mu x1, say, minus mu x2 by z1 is 0 actually. Okay, so sigma x2. So this is the point, and this point also will be you can easily find out. So this will be minus mu of x1 minus mu of x2 by sigma, say, of x1. So this is this point and this point. Now the reliability index is defined as the shortest distance basically. So this is what we define as the reliability index, the shortest distance from the origin to this line actually. Okay, so by using the coordinate geometry, the right angle triangles and other things, so you can easily find out the value of beta. So this beta turns out to be, for this case, say you do all the geometry here, so this will be simply mu of x1 minus mu of x2 divided by root of this sigma x1 square plus sigma the x2 square actually, which is same as what we have derived previously itself. Okay, so previously our beta was for linear problems, we derived in our last class. For normal and other things, so we have already derived that expression. So the beta was, what was the expression, you remember? So mu r minus mu q by sigma r square plus sigma q square. So this we derived from like a linear, and this one's n, this mean value, and finally we said probability of failure, and this is what we defined as the reliability index. And here we defined my reliability index as ratio of mean value of your limit state function to its standard deviation. This is how we defined previously. Now by using this Haushofer-Lind reliability index, so here the definition is same as the old one only, but you have to evaluate the function at the design point, and then the shortest distance, from the origin to the this limit state function. That is what you are calling as a reliability index. So if the problem is linear, the limit state function is linear, and if the things are non-normal random variables, so Haushofer-Lind reliability index is same as this the original whatever definition we have used previously. Okay, so now, so this is anyway linear case, anyway it collapses to this itself. Now if it is a non-linear, say, so now if it is a non-linear limit state function, so now we have to do this slightly in iterative fashion. The problem is here you are not evaluating this function at the mean values, you have to evaluate at the design points. So we don't know the design point itself, and we also don't know this beta itself. So the problem is like this actual. So the Haushofer-Lind say, okay. So this reliability index is okay. So this is defined as like this shortest distance, or you have to define this is the minimum value. So minimize. Okay, this distance, that is a beta, that is a distance from the origin to the line basically. Okay, so this we can write as so right, what is the distance for a straight line? So if I want to find out distance between 2 points, say how do you find out distance? If this is x1 x2 and y1 y2, so x1 y1 and then x2 y2, what is the distance between these two points? How do you define?
Under root of x2 minus x1 whole square plus y2 minus y1 whole
y1 whole square. Excellent. Okay, that means square root only. So same concept we will use here also. Origin is 0, 0 basically. Okay, now this design point is z1 star and then z2 star. Okay, so you can write in that type of format also, or if you write in a nice format, say the distance, that is minimize the shortest distance. So this beta, say I can write this as z1 that's whatever star is there here. Okay, so z1 the transpose multiplied by z1. So this is my minimize the beta. Subjected to the constraint is subjected to, you see, this constraint, say my limit state function, say g of z or g of z dash, say neither reduced coordinates or whatever, this has to be equal to 0 itself actually. Okay, so this is how we define our reliability, this itself. So now the Haushofer-Lind thing is, so you have to minimize this beta. Okay, that is the shortest distance. So constraint is on this value, say, so on this performance function, say, so this is my performance function. By when I say g of this, all the values, the limit state has to be 0 actually. Okay, so you have to minimize. So it is like an optimization problem. You are trying to find out. So reliability index is defined as the shortest distance from the origin to the this the limit state function itself. Okay, so this is my the optimization problem. So this is something like constrained optimization. So you have to minimize this. Okay, subjected to this is my constraint, because limit state has to be 0 on the that value, say performance function has to be 0 on its exact boundary itself. Now how do you solve constraint optimization problems? Have any of you an idea? See, how do you solve the constraint optimization? If you put constraints, how do you solve that one?
by maximum and minimum of the constraint.
No, minimum maximum, that is fine. See, minimization of this is optimization problem, but here we have a constraint. This also has to be 0. So what do we do in how do we add constraints to my optimization? See, if I have to minimize some function, say f of x, but at the same time I also have a constraints that x some x square plus something, some other constraint is there. What we try to do now? So if I have to minimize some f of x, say, and I have constraints also, some p of x is equal to some constraint is there here. Now how do we handle this one? So what do you do? How do you write the objective function now? If there are no constraints, say simply a derivative or whatever you do, and then you solve it actually. Okay, so d by df.
Find some boundary condition.
Like this we write. Now we have a constraint. Now tell me, what is that you have to do?
From the constraint, like we treat it as some boundary condition.
Okay, up to some extent, but what is that exact mathematically? How do you write the objective function now? See, no constraint means This is my objective function. I will directly do this one derivative. But now I have a constraint also. What do we do? How do we write the objective function? Have you heard Lagrange multipliers?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
You write the objective function as like this. You followed. So now my objective function will be like this actually. So if there are no constraints, I will simply write f of x only, or d beta by dz is equal to 0. But if I have a constraint, what I will do is my objective function I will modify actually by writing a small Lagrange multiplier we do. So this Lagrange multiplier is something like a weightage actually, like your solution has to satisfy minimum of f of x also, plus it also has to satisfy the constraint itself. So this lambda say this will tell us something like a weightage kind of thing. Now you do the optimization. So now you minimize this expression with respect to x and then equate it to 0 and then you solve it. And then you have to solve, of course, for the Lagrange multiplier and all other things itself. Okay, the constraint optimization. So now using this concept, say you minimize beta subjected to this constraint, and if you write that nonlinear and all those things, so you will get a set of the equations actually. So finally you will get some multipliers and all other things. So you can write like this. Okay, so now so we can write this expression as alpha i's. So it's doing that constraint optimization, say. So we will have some expressions like this: dou g by dou zi. You have to evaluate at the design point. Okay, divided by this one. So you have to do that Lagrange multiplier, and that derivation has to be done. Okay, so dou g by dou zi, dou zk, sorry. Okay, and this has to be evaluated at the design points, not at the mean value. Okay, whole square will be there inside. So this this alpha I, and then dou g by dou zi, say. Zi are nothing but standard variates actually. Okay, so dou g by dou xi, dou xi by dou zi, okay, or dou g by dou xi multiplied by sigma xi. So you can find out the derivatives, and the constraint on alpha, say alpha I whole square is equal to 1. So because these are all like Lagrange the multipliers, and zi star, say this is my design point. Okay, is beta times alpha I, and g, say at the design point z1 star, z2 star up to zn star, this has to be equated to 0. So this is how, so like you see, you have to do a constraint optimization using the Lagrange multiplier, and then you do all the little bit algebra. Say now you write like this, and then you do this d by dx, and then you find out all those numbers, say. So you will get a set of several set of equations will come, where your zi star, that is a design point, say is beta times alpha I, and this is equal to 0, and alpha I is you will get, these are the things are like that. So now you have to solve this the nonlinear optimization problem actually. So here it is like iterative kind of fashion. So now you are evaluating the function at the design point. Okay, so you don't know zi star also, and you have to find out reliability index also, betas basically. Alphas you can find out from this expressions itself. Okay, so now this you have to do it in an iterative fashion. Because we don't know the design points, zi star, betas, these are all unknowns. Okay, so this is how so it is basically a nonlinear problem we have basically. Okay, so now the steps you can write, then we can write in terms of nice steps for this Haushofer-Lind reliability index. So these are the steps actually, so that it will be clarity. So the first problem, so the first thing you formulate the limit state function. So this is the first step, the limit state function. Okay, so in terms of appropriate parameters and all the random variables. okay, involved in the problem. So this is the first step. You have to write your limit state function, x1, x2, all those things. Of course, let us say, we will put like this, and the random variables are x1 up to xn. Okay, so these are the random variables. Now the next step is, so now here you have to obtain an initial design point. Okay, so we have to obtain initial design point. You have to assume something. So the design points are x1 star, x2 star, up to xn star itself. Okay, so these are the design points basically. Okay, so first of all, you have to assume these design points here. So now what is the best assumption? Initially, the design points also we don't know, and then so what is the best assumption? The starting point. Yeah. So these are the design points you have to assume in the starting, because you have to solve in iterative fashion. So you have to obtain initial guess. You have to do the starting points. You can take it to be mean values itself. So the mean values is say, so they can be taken as a reasonable choice. So you assume your design points as the mean values itself. Okay, so these are starting step basically. So now so once you know the design points, say you solve this limit state. Okay. So this you can find out all the numbers itself. Now, so this is the starting point. Now you find out the reduced variates also. So Z1, Z star and others. So Zi star say. So this will be Xi star minus mu of Xi by sigma Xi. Okay. So you find out this also. So the first thing is you have to assume the design point. You assume that the best choice will be, you take it same as the mean value itself. So once you know the mean value, so now you find out my reduced variates also. Okay, so this also you find out, simply subtract its mean value and then normalize by its standard deviation. Now the next step is you have to find out the partial derivatives. So this has to be estimated, the partial derivatives, because we are having these alphas and other things right here. So these derivatives have to be calculated, because they come from the constrained the optimization of limit state function. So with respect to the reduced variates. So this has to be calculated. Okay, so now here we can define a new column vector. So we define a column vector G. Okay, so which is defined as some G1, G2 like that up to Gn kind of thing. So where Gi say is dou G by dou Zi. Okay, some negative value. So this comes from this expression. So dou G by dou Xi. So dou G by dou Gi say. So this has to be calculated actually. So this you have to evaluate at the design points. So these derivatives have to be calculated basically. So this is a fourth step. Now the next one say is calculate an estimate. So calculate an estimate of beta. So using this So once you know this one say, so now you have to calculate the beta. Okay, so this beta anyway you can calculate from this expression. Okay, so this beta is because all the numbers. So G transpose, okay, Z star by square root of G transpose multiplied by G. Okay, so where Z star is so this is all the Z1 star, Z2 star, like this up to Zn star. Okay, so this you have to calculate the betas. Okay, now once you have say, so now you also calculate the sensitivity factors or the alphas basically. Okay, so this has to be calculated. So now this alpha, if you write in a nice the column this format so G, so this column vector G, then square root of G transpose into G. So this is our the alphas basically. So now once you have alphas, say, so now you have calculated the beta. So now you know the alphas itself. Now you calculate, you see, a new design point. Okay, so using this expression, so that is Zi star, say, is alpha times beta. So this is a new design point. Now once you have the new design point, say 7, so now you calculate the xi's also. The reduced variates you have, now you calculate this xi itself. Xi star, say, is basically mu of xi plus Zi star sigma xi. So you calculate this itself. Now what you have to do is you follow, right? So now once again you have calculated this xi star. So once you know this xi star, say, so now once the new design points are you have calculated, the new design the points have been done. So now you repeat all the steps actually. So now you go to the step 2, so where you have obtained an initial estimate, say. So now here whatever we have obtained here, so now you go to step 2 and then step 3, once again you calculate Zi star, and then come to 4, then 5, then 6, and then once again you find out a new design point, and then you have to do it in a iterative fashion here. So you repeat basically the steps from 3 to, you see, this 9, that is a 3 to 8, this all the steps you have to repeat until, say, beta, and then your design points xi star, okay, they converge. So this is the algorithm which you have to use to find out the design point as well as this reliability index itself. So you have to do it in a this iterative kind of approaches. So you have to assume something, because it is a nonlinear problem, so what happens is you will be getting several values will come into picture. So automatically you have to do this way itself, or if you can draw it in a geometrically also, it looks something like this. We can just draw this expression, the methodology, say, it looks something like this. Now, so what essentially you are doing here is, so if you take two random variables, say, x1 star, x2 star, okay, so we are not doing reduced variates. So x1, x2 star, say, so now this is my value, the performance function, the limit state function. Okay, now so now we will assume some design point basically. So now we are assuming the design point as some point basically. So this is my initial estimate, say, okay. So this x1 this one x dash or whatever this star, the 0th iteration, say. So this point we have assumed here. Now when you do the design points, if you assume any design point and then substitute in my this performance function, say, this limit state function, what happens, say? So limit state function, this is my limit state function g1 x1 comma x2 like this. You see, this is my performance function. Now if I substitute the if I assume it as a mean values and then substitute in this g, say, and now what happens now? Whether it will be 0 or what happens, we are assuming something. See, if you have assumed the exact design points, what will be the value? See, previously we have said, right, now exactly at this value, what will be g of x? This is z1 or z2 star. So what will be the value at this boundary, at exact boundary?
So it will be 0.
It has to be 0. Now suppose if you have, but that will be 0 only for the exact design point. Since here we don't know the exact design point to say, what happens? If I substitute some arbitrary numbers, say, what happens to my g of that z1 star comma z2? Now, what happens to this one? So this is an assumption that the first iterations, if you have assumed the starting, so my g x1 star, x2 star, x3 star, if I substitute in that that equation, say, it will not be 0 basically. You followed. So this expression will be some constant c. It will not be 0 at the starting point. So now using this, you have to calculate here. So now once again you bring this. This is my exact this one. So this is where x star this is equal to 0. So this is my starting value, say. So from this value, so I'm drawing a tangent or whatever this expression here. So automatically so this followed. So this goes you automatically here. So this is my, the new design point here. So I can calculate this expression, the shortest distance. Okay, I will come here. So this is my second iteration, say. So that is, x1 or whatever. So this is my first, this point here. So first iteration. So now after this, once again, I will draw a tangent basically. Okay, so I will draw a tangent here, and then, I will go to some other place basically. x1, x star like this. I will draw a tangent here. And finally, say I have to find out the shortest distance here. So this point will come. So something like, x of 2 itself. Once again, I draw a tangent here, and then, go to some other point like you see x3. You followed. So like you see x3, the third point, the next 4, like that. Finally, I will go to some point, say x4 or whatever, where the all of them converge like this actually. So this is essentially the algorithm basically. So since the function is non-linear, say first initially you assume some design points. So you calculate here, and then you come up to that point, then you once again revise your reliability indices, and then you keep on calculating until your design points as well as the reliability indexes say. So both of them converge to a same number itself. The previous iteration and the next iteration, say both of them you should get the same answer. So that is how the procedure to calculate this reliability index actual. Okay, so to just have an idea, so we'll just solve one quick problem so that the steps will be clarity will be there. So let us take this problem. Okay, so it is a continuous beam. So this is a continuous beam. So I think multiple supports are there. Yeah, this is also. So A, B, C, D, and it is subjected to UDL. Okay, that the value is W. Okay, and L is the span of all these beams. Span is same. L. Okay, so now this is a problem basically. So now here the assumption is, so W we have the variables, length we have of each span, modulus of elasticity, then we have the moment of inertia. So these are the 4 variables basically. That is how we have assumed here. Now the limit state here say, so we have taken here as not strength based, but the limit state is we have defined in terms of deflections. Okay, so this is a slightly different limit state, and allowable deflection say. So from some code or whatever, so this is L by 360. So this is the allowable deflection. So they have we are writing the limit state in terms of deflections itself. So now the maximum deflection say you can calculate using your structural analysis. So the maximum deflection in the continuous beam you can calculate from structure analysis. This turns out to be some 0.0069 W L to the power of 4 by EI. So this is the maximum deflection. So now my limit state function. So the limit state function you see, so G we have W, L, E, and then I. So this is essentially L by 360. This is allowed deflection minus 0.0069. This comes from my analysis. So W L to the power of 4 say by EI. So this is the first step actually. So the limit state function has to be estimated. Okay. Now what type of limit state function is this one? It is a linear or non-linear? Now it is a linear or non-linear? It is. Tell once again it is non-linear. See why? Because see suppose EI where it is coming. If I assume E, I, W, L all are random variables say. Now what happens? So W may be linear, but you are having L to the power of 4 and E and I, all of them are occurring in the denominators. You followed. So this is basically a non-linear function. Suppose if it was linear, say what you will do? See the problem was linear say. Now what you will do?
Then L, E, I should be deterministic.
Yeah. So if the limit state function was linear, what you will do? You will not do any Haushofer, Lind, other things are not required. Simply you can calculate with whatever previously you see that mu r minus mu q or something like that you would have done actually. But here the problem is the things are non-linear. Okay, and now let us see what are the random variables and others also. So the W, then L, then E and I. Okay, so these are the variables whatever we are seeing, let us we have to calculate their mean values and then the standard deviations. Okay, so now the mean value, say for the this is a mean value and standard deviation. So for W, the mean value is some 10 kilonewton per meter, and the standard deviation, say, is a 0.4 kilonewton per meter actual. Now L is a 5 meter is a mean value, standard deviation is 0. Okay, and the Young's modulus is 2 into 10 to the power of 7 kilonewton per meter square, and its standard deviation, say 0.5 into 10 to the power of 7 kilonewton per meter square, and this is 8 into 10 to the power of minus 4 meter to the power of 4, and 1.5, say, into 10 to the power of minus 4 meter to the power of 4. So these are the statistics. Now what is your comment about length? How many random variables are there?
Length is a deterministic value.
Length can be taken as deterministic because the standard deviation is 0. Now let us see whether the problem is still linear or non-linear. Linear or non-linear, still L is deterministic, so L you can ignore actually.
Still it's non-linear.
Still it is non-linear because Young's modulus and I know they come in the denominator, so this is a problem basically. Okay, so that is how the randomness is there. And now first of all this, so now we have to formulate our this one. So now let x1, say, is I, okay, x2 is E, and x3 is W. So there are only 3 random variables basically. Okay, there are no 4, there are only 3 random. So now my limit state function, say g x1, x2, x3. So this, if I write L by 360 minus 0.0069 x3 L to the power of 4 by x2 x1. So this is my limit state function in terms of the random variables. Now what is the first iteration? What is that you have to do? So now you know the limit state function. Okay, now what is the first step? So now the design point, you have to calculate the everything at the design point. Now what is the starting assumption? You don't know beta, it is a non-linear and it's very complicated. So what is that you have to assume at the first step?
Design value as mean value.
So now the design point is same as the mean value. So this is our first step. Okay, so now my mean value is already x1 stars, my design points. X1 star is 8 into 10 to the power of minus 4. Then x2 star, say, is 2 into 10 to the power of 7. So this is this itself, and x3 star basically. So now what is x3 star? X3 is the W. So now what is x3 star here? So you have to assume it to be. See what is x3 star? It is
10.
10. But the problem, what is that you have, if I substitute x3 star as 10, say, and if I substitute x1 star, x2 star, x3 star in this expression, what will be the value of g? If I calculate, so what will be the value of g? If I substitute 8 into 10 to the power of minus 4, 2 into 10 to the power of plus 7, and x3 star is equal to 10. If I substitute in this expression, and L is equal to 5 meter basically. So what happens to g? Whether it will be 0 or what value you will get?
It will be a non-zero value.
So it is basically non-zero value. But if it is non-zero, so what is our constraint here? See, as already we said, right? So we have to minimize the distance, but our constraint is at the design point, say, your limit state value has to be. It has to be what it has to be 0 itself. So now to make it 0, so what is that you can do here? This is what I said, right? So this will be C. So now you have to come to this one. So what is the intelligent way to do this one to make it? If I want to make it G has 0 itself, say, what I should do?
In the equation, putting G is equal to 0, we can back calculate the x3 star.
X3 star, or you can calculate. So what that clever is just a trick. What we are trying to do is, instead of taking one of the random variable as its mean value, you substitute here and you calculate the number itself actually. Okay, what value of x3 star I should substitute such that G becomes 0, or you can take x3 star as 10 and you can find out x2 star, or you can find out x1 star. You make one of them as unknown because it is a because the constraint is also G also has to be 0. So you can assume only 2. The other one you can calculate by making G has the 0 itself. Okay, so this is the first step which you have to do. So now my x3 star says, so this I will calculate. Okay, I will not take its mean value. I will take it from this expression. So L by 360 x2 star x1 star divided by 0.0069 L to the power of 4 itself. Okay, so this I can calculate. X3 star I can calculate, or you can calculate x2 or x1 also. X3 you can take it to be 10 also. So this, if I substitute all those numbers, so 0.4026 x1 star x2 star by this L cube. So if I substitute the mean value, the design points, this turns out to be 51.53 actual. Now if I substitute x3 as 51.53, x1 as 8 into 10 to the power of minus 4, and x2 star as 2 into 10 to the power of 7, so then my g will be 0 itself. Otherwise, you will be violating that constraint actually. Okay, so it's the first step, the most important thing. So you assume if there are n random variables are there, say n minus 1 random variables, you take it as same as their mean value. The nth random variable you calculate from the constraint basically. Okay, because that is required, mandatory, to find out my reliability index. This is the first step. Now next step is you find out the reduced variates. Because to calculate beta, you have to do this reduced variates. Okay, that is z1 star, which is x1 star minus mu of x1. Okay, by sigma of x1 actual. So this turns out to be, what is the z1 value? Z2 will be x2 star minus mu of x2 by sigma of x2. What is the value of this z1 star? What is x1 star minus mu of x1 by sigma of x1? What is the value? What is x1 star we have taken as? See, x1 star we have taken as 8 into 10 to the power of minus 4. And what is the mean value? See, what is the mean value of x1? See this table. See, my design point itself is same as the mean value. So what happens here? So what will be z1 star and z2 star? See, if you take design point as same as mean value, so what happens? See, all of you are there.
Yes, sir.
So now what happens if I take mu of x1 as this itself? So what happens? See, x1 star is how much? X1 star is 8 into 10 to the power of minus 4. What is mean value of IA? This x1.
Same as x1 star.
So now what happens? X1 star minus mu of x1 will be
0.
0. Similarly, this is also 0. But Z3 star will be? So Z3 will be what happens? X3 star minus mu of x3 by sigma of x3. You followed. But x3 star we have taken as 51.53. The mean value is different actually here. So this turns out to be, the mean value of x3 star is, this 10. Okay, so divide by its standard deviation here. So this turns out to be, you see, 103.8 actually. So these are the reduced variates. Okay, and now the next, the fourth step. So now you have to find out the derivatives. So you have to determine this g. So this vector has to be found out. So these are anyway the derivatives only. So dou g by dou z1. Okay, and you have to evaluate at the design points. So this you can easily calculate the derivatives here. So finally, you see, so this turns out to be a minus 0.0069. Okay, x3 star L to the power of 4 by, you see, x2 star. Okay, this is just a derivative, and x1 star whole square sigma of x1 actual. So this is the first derivative. So we have 3 random variables. So 3 things will be there. Dou g by dou z2. Okay, so this also will be minus 0.0069. So you have to find out the derivatives of my limit state function. X3 star L to the power of 4 by using x1 star x2 star whole square sigma of x2, and then g3 say. So this is a derivative with respect to z3. Okay, so this turns out to be 0.0069 L to the power of 4 say x2 star x1 star sigma of this x3. So these derivatives have to be calculated, and you have to evaluate it, all the derivatives you have to evaluate it design point. So now the design point you followed, right? X1 star, x2 star, x3 star, you substitute in this expression, so you will get our design points. This one. So my G matrix, this will be minus 2.604 into 10 to the power of minus 3, and then minus 3.472 into 10 to the power of minus 3, and then the last one, so 1.078 into 10 to the power of minus 4. So these are the all the derivatives basically. Now once you find out the derivatives, the next step is now you calculate the betas. Okay, so beta as already we told you. So this is if you write that nicely, G transpose Z star, okay, by square root of G transpose multiplied by G. So this turns out to be 2.578 actually. So this is my reliability index basically. And now you have to calculate the alphas. Okay, so this is anyway the weightage factors only, G by so square root of G transpose multiplied by G's. So this will be minus 0.6, minus 0.8, 0.025. So these are the alphas. Now once alphas have been calculated, so now you calculate a new design points. Yeah, so new design points, you see Z1 star say is alpha 1 into beta. So this turns out to be 1.546, okay, and Z2 star say. So this turns out to be alpha 2 times beta. So this also you calculate actually minus 2.062 basically. Okay, so these are the new design points basically. Okay, now Z3 star you followed, right? So you cannot calculate. Why Z3 star we are not calculating? So now the new design points say Z3 we don't calculate, and now the next step say you find out x1 star and other things. Okay, the design points. Now you calculate the x1 star, the new design points. So mu of x1 plus z1 star sigma of x1. So this term, so you substitute all those terms. So 5.68 say into 10 to the power of minus 7. Then x2 star. So this will be a mu of x2 plus z2 star sigma of x2. So this turns out to be 9.69 into 10 to the power of 6. Now why we are not calculating z3 star? Now, see Z3 star one variable we don't calculate actually. What is the reason? Z3 star we don't calculate. So now what will be x3 star? How to calculate x3 star?
In the limit state expression.
No, in the limit. Suppose you calculate Z3 star also from this expression, say, and if I substitute Z1 star, Z2 star, Z3 star in limit state, that will not be 0 basically. You followed, it will be some constant. So now only 2 you can use this one, and you calculate x3 such that my limit state function say. So this x1 star, x2 star, x3 star say. So this has to be equated to 0. So this you have to do. So substitute in this expression, and then if we calculate say x3 star turns out to be 17.7. So these are the new design points basically. See, you remember, so finally first we started with you see these numbers 8 into 10 to the power of minus 4, 2 into 10 to the power of 7. Now 8 became 5.68, that became this one, and 51 point something was our value for x3 star, 51.53. Now it has become 17.7. And now what you have to do? Now once again this 5.68, 5 point, all those things you dump in this expression, the reduced variates you find out, then you substitute G values, and then you calculate beta, alpha. Once again you have to do repeat all the steps actually. You followed. So you repeat all the steps, and finally you have to find out that where that converges basically. Okay, so now if you do, I think this problem you have to do it on a computer, then it will be very easy. So I think 7 iterations may be required, 7 or 8 or whatever if you do say. So first beta came out to be 2.58 first iteration. The second iteration turns out to be 3.29, then 3.21, then 3.18, then 3.18, then 3.18, then 3.18. It automatically beta converges with 4 steps, but the design points, there's like in iteration 6 say, 6th iteration, my design points are 7.12 into 10 to the power of minus 4, 4.38 into 10 to the power of minus 6, then 10. This is the design points. Now in the 7th iteration, they turns out to be same actually. You will get 6th and 7th say the same value you get, but in the 5th iteration, if you see, the design points are 7.05 into 10 to the power of minus 4, 4.42 into 10 to the power of 6, and then 10 actually. Okay, this was the 5th iteration, but in the 6th iteration and in the 7th iteration, say more or less the design points also up to 2nd decimal, you will get the same, the answer itself. But reliability index with the 4 iterations itself, it converges, but design points it doesn't converge. So you repeat this so many times such that you will the previous iteration and the current iteration say the numbers are same actual. So this is how you have to calculate, you see, the reliability index as well as the design points. So if the problem is linear and non-normal, say there is no need to do any iteration things, it is very simple. But if the performance function is linear and if the random variables are also non-normal, so then you will have a lot of problems. So you have to do this in a iterative fashion actually. Now how did we get all these g's, beta, alpha, all those expressions? So that comes from the Lagrange multiplier. Okay, that comes from the constraint optimization, where you do this minimization of this distance subjected to this constraint say. So the Lagrange multiplier, if you do, you will get all these the expressions itself. Okay, so fine. So I will stop here. So we will continue in the next class. If you have doubts, you can ask me. So if you have any doubts, you please you can ask me now.